Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about seniors and team leads and switching jobs. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, how easy is it for a senior or a team lead to switch jobs and teams and get comfortable with a new system and a new group of people? And the short answer is that it depends a lot on the team lead, and it also depends on prior experiences. Let me explain. So, in general terms, you can probably assume that no matter how senior anybody is, they're not going to be able to be productive on day one. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter which developer it is. It doesn't matter how many years of experience they have. Every single company will always have to provide some type of onboarding process for a senior or a team lead or some sort of person like that. And the simple reason is because every company is different. Even if you are working within the same domain, if you are a senior developer and you move from one company to another company, even if it's within the same area of industry, the sure, some of that knowledge, like the domain knowledge, will transfer over, but the code is going to be different, even if it's a system that does pretty much the same thing. The structure and like where people put things is always going to be completely unique, and you need some time to adjust to that. The more experienced you are and the more talented you are, the quicker that's of course gonna go. But there is a bit of a process to getting to that point where you can be as productive as the people who are already working there. The second part about senior developers and moving from one thing to another is, at least from my perspective, to figure out where the team that you're dealing with are in their journey. This is a very important thing to identify, and I would say it's not just for senior developers. I would say that it's a little bit much, I would say, to ask of a junior developer to understand this, because it takes a little while to acquire the experience to understand this. But try to understand me when I say that every single team that you join and every single company that you join is on a journey. And at every single company that goes through this journey, they will have some parts that are unique to them and some parts that are fairly common. And that's where all these sort of best practices come from, where a lot of people from different companies give you advice on that, oh, you should be doing this or that and so forth. Now, the question that you really need to ask yourself before you start saying out loud that, oh, we should be doing A, B, and C, is that you need to understand if A, B, and C is applicable at this stage in this specific team's development. Because if you have worked at, say, I don't know, let's say that you have worked as a top-notch manager at Google and you've managed like bleeding edge software teams, you cannot go into a small little startup with maybe 5-6 people who are just practically just setting up the entire company and apply the exact same processes and the same way of going about things. Just as if you have only worked with like a small consultancy and like ad hoc processes, then you go to a company where you have a very senior experienced team that have been working together for years and years and years, well, then you can't just blindly go in and start changing things, because you might actually do more damage than good. So the first part of any good senior when it comes to learning how to adapt to a new team is to figure out where are they, like where are they right now. If you are more advanced than them, if you're further ahead in your personal career development, then you need to get them up to speed. That's the first step. Don't expect them to perform at the level that you are accustomed to. Adapt to their situation and start guiding them in the right direction. The other part of it is, if you are joining a team where you are probably the inexperienced one within, say, the domain or something like that, or everybody else has been working together for years and years and they really know the system, well, then your first priority is to, before you start suggesting how to change everything, is to figure out, all right, how are all these things working? Try to get your bearings a little bit first. You need to start thinking about, all right, I need to identify the different people and get to know them a little bit to understand what, like, the things that they know and what considerations I need to make before I start changing the process. If you don't do that, one of two things usually happens. Either they're just going to get annoyed with you and think you're a really, really bad team leader or a really bad senior, or you're actually going to mess up something that was working pretty well. So what I want you to take away from this is that how easy it is for a senior developer or a tech lead to move from one company to another company very much depends on one part, the senior, how meet talent and stuff like that, of course, and how much experience they have, and how much they've been paying attention, basically, how much they've worked on themselves, right? And the second thing is at like their own onboarding process. If they have prior domain knowledge, that's going to help, of course, but there's no way for a senior to just go into a fresh code base and just be productive immediately. They're going to have some time to adjust to the new code base, and that's common between both the senior and the junior. The only difference is how independent they're going to be and how fast they adopt this in many cases. And then lastly, the thing that is going to dictate how well they adjust is how good they are at understanding the context they find themselves in, like the company and the team. Do they understand that every company is at certain stages on this journey towards some end goal? Do they understand where this company is and what they need to do in order to adapt to that company's journey? If they're ahead of the game in a specific company, they need to go back and start helping people move up to their level. If they're behind the game, in other words, they're dealing with people that are really, really experienced, they need to start learning how things work and get their bearings before they can actually make any changes. That part is actually very applicable to junior developers as well, because if you're just blindly suggesting things that are improvements that don't really fit within the context that you find yourself in, you're either going to annoy people, or they're not going to listen, or you might actually mess up something that has been working, and that's not something you should strive for as a senior developer. Have a great day.